Rwy'n da a chroeso cynnes iawn I chi gyd. Mae'n braf iawn cael eich cymru heno. Welcome to our joint EWC Parentkind event. In today's event, Kerry Jane Packman, Parentkind's Executive Director of Programmes, Membership and Charitable Services, will talk us through Parentkind's all-new blueprint for parent-friendly schools. She'll talk us through the research and evidence which helped form the blueprint and offer some useful hints and tips to improve your relationships with parents and increase parental participation. And without further ado, I am delighted to hand you over to our guest speaker for today, Kerry Jane Packman. Over to you, Kerry.
Hello, everyone. It is great to be with you today and have the opportunity to talk to you about the work at Parentkind. We are delighted that you're interested to hear about how educational professionals can build relationships, engagement and participation with parents, and about our parental participation model, the blueprint for parent-friendly schools. But first, a bit about Parentkind. We believe passionately at Parentkind in the link between home and school and how much of a difference it can make for children, families and school communities. As a national charity, Parentkind give those with a parenting role a voice in education. We invest substantially in representing parent views on their child's learning to a local, regional and national governments and agencies. We are also the network of PTA fundraisers in the UK. We bring specialist fundraising support and advice to parent volunteers so that every school can benefit from a successful PTA. We have 12,500 PTA members and they raise over £120 million per year that goes directly into schools. And this places us alongside some of the largest charities in the UK. Through our charitable activities, some of our recent work has included launching an audit tool for schools to self-assess the implementation of the blueprint and the effectiveness of parental participation methods. We've co-produced guidance with the National Governance Association and working with parents. We undertake our annual parent survey and our 2022 Parent Voice Report will be launched in the coming weeks. We've established and contribute to the all-party parliamentary group on parental participation in education. And we respond to consultations, including a response to the Senate on COVID-19 and its impact on young people's education, and Qualification Wales qualification on the qualifications needed for the new curriculum. The importance of parental participation is central to our work. Everyone invested in young people wants the same thing: educational experiences and the best possible attainment, opportunities and future outcomes. We all know that schools and learners can face barriers in their pursuit to fulfill potential. So it's essential that schools mobilise all resources that will positively influence and benefit young people. Those in a parenting role, who Parentkind define as any person who plays a role of carer, who actively supports or contributes to a child's education, are one of the most powerful resources, but they are often underutilised. The COVID-19 pandemic represented an unprecedented time and many parents were parachuted into supporting learning at home without any preparation. Parentkind gathered views at this time and the response highlighted many challenges, but also it brought school and home closer together. Now we're on the other side of the pandemic. The challenge is for school leaders to harness the collective energies demonstrated during lockdown. Parents and the wider community are now more likely to identify with the school, see it as a key resource. A school is so much more than facilities and buildings, and with its staff and expertise and links with local families, it can be a major agent for social cohesion. The value of parental participation in education has been known for some time, and policymakers view it as crucial for addressing educational inequality. Studies and reports have cited that parental engagement over a school career can add 2 to 3 years to a student's education. Parentkind's own research with teachers has linked parental participation to the following: building trust and improving relationships, improving behaviour, developed a shared school ethos and culture, improving academic achievement, reducing absenteeism, and raising pupils' aspirations. School views on the value of parental participation were echoed in research we conducted earlier this year. Polling just over 6,500 school teachers, 85% agreed that parental engagement in school life has benefits, and 75% agreed that it improves outcomes for young people. But the research also gave us a clear picture that there are ongoing barriers to parental participation, and that participation is not being embedded within schools. Teachers have told us 64% believe there are barriers with engaging with parents. Only 58% say they are confident engaging with parents, and 8% of schools had written a parental engagement plan, and only 5% had undertaken parental engagement training. So we can see that there is a disconnect between the high rates of agreement that parental participation has benefits and the low rates this has been implemented. Barriers cited by teachers include a lack of time, lack of training, and the challenge to get parents interested. So what about the parent view? From the parent perspective, there are barriers here too. In response to our surveys, parents have consistently told us that the top 3 reasons preventing them from getting involved are: I don't have time, I haven't been asked, and I'm not sure what skills, knowledge I would be able to offer. Our research also shows there is an appetite from parents to have more say in decision making and participate in school life. 85% of parents want to play an active role in their child's education, and 72% want a say in their child's education at school level. But only 57% feel listened to, and only half of parents agree that the child's school acts on feedback and feel able to have their say. Parents do want to participate. When parents were asked what they would consider doing, 45% would be prepared to be part of a parent action group. 43% would be prepared to be part of a parent council, and 42% would take part in parent surveys and focus groups. All the research points to the fact that schools do have a parent community willing to engage if barriers can be broken down. Schools need support to build those connections and relationships with parents in order to reap the huge benefits. So what's the solution? Parents and teachers told Parentkind that a workable model to implement parent participation was needed, and we rose to the challenge. This is why Parentkind commissioned extensive research and a review of the evidence conducted by Canterbury Christ Church University. This led to the design of 5 key drivers that reinforces success in parental participation. Following a wide consultation with over 100 key stakeholders, including school leaders, education and government agencies, as well as piloting the model in 21 schools across Doncaster, the Blueprint for Parent-Friendly Schools was created. The blueprint is the work has come from fruition for over 5 years. It is an evidence-based foundation for school leaders with clear actions to help identify strengths and needs, and is designed to be shaped and adapted by the school. The blueprint is a powerful and easy to use tool which maximizes and builds upon parents' contributions, embeds parental participation, and creates positive partnerships with parents for the benefit of all children. We recommend that you download a copy from our website for further reading and share with your school networks. The blueprint document is also available in Welsh. You also get to see our brand new website. By reading the blueprint, you'll be able to find out more about the common ingredients in successful parent-friendly schools, our 5 key drivers, 3 guiding principles, and shared common language, including our promotion of using the term parental participation. Our parental participation framework with checklists that map across to practical approaches for schools to use. As I mentioned, the blueprint is built on 5 key drivers. These are presented separately, but most overlap and are closely linked or underpin each other. Key drivers 1 and 2, strong leadership and effective two-way communication, are likely to be necessary for all parental participation work. Drivers 3 and 4 are what parents are doing, and drivers 1, 2, and 5 are enablers to help to make this happen. If schools are going to be parent-friendly, they need to invest in effort across all of the 5 areas. We'll now take a look at the drivers and share some real examples of how we've seen these working in schools. Driver 1 is leadership, ethos, and resources. Senior leadership is key to developing effective parental participation across a school. Leaders are responsible for directing schools' resources towards this goal and shaping the values and culture that will create the conditions in which parental participation can thrive. Senior leaders should take a whole school approach, see parents as a valuable resource, and find out how they can work in positive partnership with the school to support the children's learning journeys. As part of our Doncaster pilot, Asken Littlemore Infant Academic spoke to us about their experience of implementing Key Driver 1. Their objective was to formulate a parental engagement policy with clear procedures, including being able to communicate with harder to reach families and see improved academic outcomes for the children. They were able to identify a parent engagement governor who worked with the executive head to write a new policy and create an action plan for parental engagement. They found that the project had a clear direction with the involvement of the parent governor, and new opportunities were identified for engaging with parents. Some of their simple and quick wins included improved contact with parents, such as sending congratulations texts and making individual contact with parents to celebrate a child's particular achievement. The lockdown period meant that the school reflected further on the effectiveness of their working relationship with parents, and they introduced engagement methods that work specifically in the period of home learning. Key Driver 2 is not just about two-way communication, it's about effective two-way communication. Effective two-way communication between schools and families is the bedrock of parental participation. This includes all parent-teacher meetings, events, and means of discussion and information sharing. The focus is on building a relationship of trust that enables schools and parents to work in partnership. Trinity Academy, a secondary school in South Yorkshire, contributed to a case study focused on Key Driver 2. The school's concern was that they didn't have a good representation of parents on the governing body, and that low numbers of parents were responding to opportunities to share their views. The school leadership team identified that parents needed an alternative way to share their views and be part of the solution. To work towards a solution, Trinity took part in Parentkind's training for schools. After receiving 4 hours of masterclass training on the whole school approach, they decided to set up a parent council. This idea was shared with parents in a survey, which hundreds of parents replied to. Parents that had previously expressed an interest in being part of a parent council were contacted, and adverts around the school called for volunteers. The first parent council meeting was held, and there were representatives from each year group attending, discussing the topics they would like to see addressed. The chair and secretary were appointed, and it was agreed that the chair would be the parent governor, who would then be able to feed back to the governing board. Driver 3 is supporting learning at home, and as I previously mentioned, become very prominent within the pandemic. Parents want to support their child, and schools can tap into this motivation. When parents share a positive attitude towards learning and school, they can create a good home learning environment that has a positive impact on children and their achievement. Schools can carefully coordinate learning activities at home, so they work in tandem with the activities at school and help parents understand the impact they can have on their child's learning, in a way adding value. Support can also be offered to parents regarding their own learning, and this was evidenced in one of our case studies. We did some work with Bentley High Street Primary, who were looking to engage more parents in supporting their child's learning. The school completed our blueprint audit and was signposted to Doncaster Council's Adult, Family and Community Learning team. The council team were invited to deliver a 5-week phonics course to parents of children in Year 1, and individual invitations were sent to parents of children needing targeted support. In the session, parents learned how to say the phonics sounds correctly and discussed why reading practice at home is so important. Parents were given a range of activities they could then continue to do at home, and they found the course helpful and enjoyed the activities. One of the parents went on to volunteer at the school with a view to seeking employment in a school setting in the future. The outcome was good. The school-parent relationships were strengthened, and more parents were able to support with home learning tasks as they understood the importance of the activities. Key driver 4 is about involvement in school life. This driver is about the extent to which parents play a role in volunteering in school life. Getting parents actively involved builds trust and lays the foundations for positive longer-term collaborations. Successful schools will make good use of parent skills and offer both informal and formal ways for parents to be involved and make meaningful contributions to school life. Throughout COVID-19, the pandemic, our regular research showed that parental engagement was at an all-time high. When asked about this period of remote learning, parents expressed a growing confidence in how to support their child's learning with tangible positives, such as being more aware of what their child was learning, having new options to engage with their child's teacher, for example, be it a virtual parents' evening, and being provided with learning resources that help them engage with their child's learning. However, parents also reported key points which needed to be addressed, such as the inequality of access to technology and resources, ongoing uncertainty about how to best support young people, especially from parents from more disadvantaged backgrounds, and the need for more funding and support for parental involvement. To truly capitalise, schools will need to build on the best practice that emerged through the pandemic, whilst addressing what still needs to be done in order to fully harness parental participation. One idea under driver 4 is setting up a PTA, bringing parents, teachers, and the local communities together to raise funds to support the school. Through our network, Parentkind has seen a huge impact that PTAs are having. Our PTA members contribute 120 million collectively to the education of children, with the average PTA raising around £9,000 a year that goes directly to the school. Beyond fundraising, a PTA can help build a strong school community, break down barriers to communication, and positively influence school life. With Parentkind's experience, insights, and resources, PTAs can be set up efficiently, and the rewards can quickly be gained by the whole school community. The final driver is community engagement. Diverse parent communities and cultures can really enrich a school, but may also present some barriers to engagement. Schools can work with their communities to draw on knowledge, skills, and resources. Schools could also respond and provide for parents and children's educational, health, and well-being needs. The better the outreach to the local community, the more a school will attract diverse parent communities, build strong relationships, and engage organisations who can give support. Woodlands Primary School shared with us their experience of exploring community engagement. The school had had a difficult inspection and staff morale was low, and the relationships between parents and staff was poor, so improvements were needed. The school had a change of head teacher, made a commitment to becoming a parent-friendly school, and attended Parentkind's masterclass training on a whole school approach. They then put lots of ideas into place. They worked on ensuring staff took their allotted breaks to increase mental well-being. They had senior leadership team representatives, teaching staff, and a family liaison officer out in the playground every morning and afternoon to speak with parents. They discreetly identified parents who couldn't read and offered them support. Communication issues and skills were addressed in weekly staff meetings, and parents were invited into the school to read with children, and the school ran a Story Sacks project with parents and children. They set up a PTA and ran fundraising events, and the local vicar came in to speak in assemblies and RE lessons. They planned visits to support local elderly people, and a local store donated benches and equipment for the school's outdoor space. A multitude of actions and activities that really changed the school's approach and its relationship with the local community. A key part of the parental participation framework, the blueprint, is the audit tool. Parentkind are delighted to have recently launched the audit tool in association with Learning Ladders Education. The audit is a free online self-assessment tool for schools in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, which enables schools to measure the effectiveness of parental participation methods. Schools can map plans and actions against that evidence-based blueprint for parent-friendly schools and see how they score against each of the 5 key drivers how they score against each of the 5 key drivers and track how the school improves over time. The results will give schools individual driver scores and an overall percentage score, and will signpost to resources, recommendations, and next steps to help schools reap the future benefits of an invested parent community and better outcomes for young people. We want lots of schools completing the audit and for it to be shared widely by schools, partners, and networks. The more schools that complete the audit tool, the clearer the picture becomes for us. It will allow us to build an understanding of schools' experience and see where they are on their parental participation journey. See how the picture may differ across regions and learn what the key priorities and needs are, which we can then support with. We would note that the audit tool is currently only in English, but a Welsh language version is coming very shortly. So what are the next steps for schools? To discover more about the Blueprint for Parent-Friendly Schools and how to plan and embed parental participation, Schools can book our training through our website. We run a 2-hour introductory training workshop on overcoming barriers to parental participation and 2 4-hour masterclasses on successful parent consultation and a whole school approach. We also offer discovery calls and bespoke training. We can tailor training to suit needs, whether this is delivering within a conference day, a staff development day, a bespoke online course, or even train the trainer, which is where we can train others to deliver our introductory workshop onwards to their networks of schools. Schools can use the blueprint aligned resources on our website. They're available for all, which are continually added to. To give some examples, there are a number of case studies with ideas about how to utilise the participation methods. You will find all the blueprint research here, as well as resources like our joint guidance from the with the National Governors Association about how boards can engage with parents. There's a wealth of information on how to start a PTA. And of course, we have a membership team at Parentkind who can support schools with their PTA needs. We also have an upcoming guide on setting up and running a parent council. And most importantly, schools can complete the audit tool. And we would encourage all schools, regardless of where they are in their parent-friendly schools journey, to complete. The more that Parentkind know, the more we'll understand the training and resources support that school needs. We would encourage you to raise awareness with your school networks about the blueprint and all it has to offer. Parentkind want to see the national adoption of the blueprint so that all schools can reap the benefit of a fully engaged parent community. Thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and please feel free to contact us at Parentkind. We love to chat. We are more than happy to work with you, and we will support in any way we can. So please do let me know if you have any questions I can answer. Is it possible that the parents prepared to engage with their school may be the more confident parents? What are the best ways of engaging with less confident parents and removing the personal and situational barriers that work to hinder their engagement? I think one of the things to mention around this is, fair enough, parents, they don't know how to engage is one of the barriers. They don't know, they're not asked. There is another barrier here as well, which is actually a fear barrier for parents. And the fear comes from either a bad experience themselves, from back in school days, sitting outside the head teacher's office, to actually the only interaction that they're having with their child's school at the moment is from a negative perspective. So yes, I think there is a range of parents, but I would say start with the most engaged in that sense. So because they will encourage others to get involved. And also I would say it's about providing options for parents. As much as I advocate for PTAs and parents getting involved in PTAs, I think it's not for everybody. Parents don't have the time that some of the parents do. So it might be looking at the skill set of parents and encouraging them to share what skills they do have. We've had a lot of examples where parents come in and have painted a classroom, decorated a classroom. We have had examples that I expressed around reading. It could be parents being in and coming and talking about role modeling and what their career is. I've just recently done one at a school that my sister works at, where she's a teacher, and just talking about what the options are. So I think it's about having a range of options for where parents can get involved, that you can then break down those barriers. Give them a little bit more confidence around it, that you will find that then they will go through the different rungs of participation. I've got a question: is the training free? So our training isn't free. We are a charity, but there is a discount code for anybody who has attended this course today. And I'm sure that the organisers will share that in the chat of what the discount code is. We do keep the costs as low as possible in order to cover our costs around that. But I will say that we were very conscious that our audit tool is free. So the self-assessment audit tool is free. I've also been asked, are there any examples of secondary school successes? Yes, our website has a lot of examples from primary to secondary and SEND schools as well. So there's a wide range of case studies there. And our Doncaster pilot that we did was with 21 schools, which 7 of those were secondary schools as well. Okay, hopefully I am whizzing through. Is parental engagement easier at primary schools rather than secondary school level? I think yes. I think it is easier at primary school level because there is the playground interaction, and parents have told us that they feel more connected to a primary school, and when their children go to a secondary school, it's kind of they feel further removed from that. So yes, I do think it is easier at primary school. However, I think the engagement becomes slightly different as well at a secondary school as well. I think it's just as important, but it's about finding those other ways to engage with parents. And it's one of the biggest feedback that we had from parents during the pandemic was, what was the benefits? I think it was very important for us to capture the benefits of the pandemic and for parents, and by far foremost was online parent-teacher evenings. And that is because it breaks down those barriers, and that was more around secondary school. It's normally in a large hall. There's lots of parents around. You're moving from subject to subject. So they felt that they had a private space. They weren't being rushed. They knew the time that they had with that teacher, and that was a lot easier. So it did break down those barriers. Okay, so another question: does the audit tool get completed by senior leadership, teachers, or parents, and what do you recommend? The self-assessment tool and the blueprint is aimed at schools, and we would recommend that senior leadership complete the audit tool because it is around a whole school approach. However, that's not to say that another member of the senior leadership team couldn't be allocated to do that, or if there is a parental participation officer, parental engagement officer that could lead on that, then that is the case. It is not a tool for parents to complete. The way we support parents at Parentkind individually is that we have a number of sections within our website where parents can go to in order to understand education and get that breakdown. So what if my child is bullied? What if my child is expelled? How do I deal with a range of different areas that I don't know? How do I apply for a school? How do I apply for a school? So that kind of educational journey. But in addition to that, we also have sections where we partner with people on supporting learning at home, mental health and well-being, because it is parents' main concern for their children, whether that's primary or secondary school, is around their mental health and well-being, and a range of other different topics. So please do go onto our website, and if you need that support for parents, feel free to direct them, use our resources, and share those. Grandparents can often have far more time to support the school than parents. Do you recommend involving grandparents? Yes, definitely. We at Parentkind talk around, when we talk about parents, we talk about, we are talking about everybody with an educational responsibility for a child, has that, and if your child is being, if a child's being looked after by its grandparents after school and things like that, definitely for grandparents to be involved. They set a different kind of role model, they bring different experiences to the school. So yes, I would encourage anybody that is linked to that child and the school to understand who are the main people in that child's life. Okay, so is there any more questions coming through? Here we go. Small delay there, sorry. Have we looked at further education and sixth forms? I would say the blueprint could be adapted for further education and sixth forms. We did develop it in light of it being for all educational settings and school types. We are yet to move into the resources that support that, but that's definitely on our agenda of where we want to be, because parents have, especially within career development and career choices, and that is when those areas come into play. And we do provide a lot of support on our website for parents and understanding how to talk to your child about what they want to do as a career, the next level, whether that's universities, apprenticeships. So there is a number of different things that are there available on our website, and I'd encourage you to have a look. And that's about where we've got to at the moment. Is it more effective for a parental engagement to be led by someone outside the senior leadership team? Where we've seen the best examples is where it has been run by the senior leadership team, and coming from that top-down approach. And that is because the senior leadership team is responsible for all the resources across the school. And so parental participation isn't just about someone being allocated to look after parents. It is around the signage. So I had an example of a parent who actually, in a secondary school environment, was petrified of going into the secondary school, because mainly because it brought back bad experiences for herself, but also the secondary school was huge, and the signage just was not friendly to anybody. It told you where you went if you were making a delivery, but to find the reception was like a maze. So that school actually implemented better signage from the gate to the reception, and that made a huge amount of difference. There's also things around having more comfortable area for where parents are waiting, so that that environment being more friendly, having a couple of cushions rather than the plastic chairs, not making it feel like that you're sitting outside the head teacher's office and waiting for your slot to go in. So it's not just about allocating a person, it's about every element that is happening within that school, that parents are part of the picture. So hopefully that answers that question. There is also a second part of that question. Do you think it is more likely to be less threatening for parents and guardians if it was someone outside the senior leadership team? Personally, I don't think so. I think it, as I said, it has to be that whole school approach, and to really truly understand where parents feel welcome, the options. It might be that different members of staff take on different roles within that, but it should be from the receptionist right the way through to the senior leadership team, really understanding that parents are key. It's part of the ethos for the school, and senior leadership are the ones that set that ethos for the school. Okay, we find our PTA involves the parents who are confident and well engaged with their child's education already. How do we engage those who lack confidence and skills? I think being involved in a PTA can be quite daunting. It can come to, so a PTA is run by parents. It has a chair, it has a treasurer, and it has a committee. But what sits, there is another ring to that sits around that, which are the parents that volunteer. Not all parents have to be involved in a PTA as part of the committee. So I think that the parents who are confident and well engaged and have the time to be part of a PTA and want to use their skill sets in that way, then that being part of the committee works for them. It's about, with the PTA, building up that parent volunteers that sit around that committee. And that is a great engagement tool in order to do that. So they might come along and do refreshments, to run a stall, to take fees on the door. There's a number of different, to set up, to decorate the disco room. There's a number of different elements that parents can be involved. You can then build that confidence by saying thank you and demonstrating the difference that has had and their contribution that has had. If they want, you can then move them closer to being part of that committee. But at every opportunity, you're building that confidence a little bit more. But being a parent volunteer is a great engagement tool to being part of the committee. I will also say it is sometimes, as we said, some of the barriers to parents being involved in their child's education is that they're not asked. So part of me would also say that the PTA being in the playground, having conversations with parents, actually asking, and going out, putting letters out, asking parents to be involved, or if they're running a particular event, having that that conversation where parents are being involved to get them to be active within the PTA. I could talk about fundraising forever. My background is in fundraising and I love the work that PTAs do. So how would you say that we can put the blueprint to work in other educational settings such as Welsh youth working settings. We haven't tried that yet, if I'm honest, but to see whether the blueprint works in a youth setting. But I do know that it is adaptable and the principles are the same. So we would welcome a further conversation with youth workers and those settings to see how we might be able to look at that. Okay, there are language barriers, including the newcomers from Romania, Ukraine, Poland, and Afghanistan. We don't have the resources yet, such as school interpreters, and I'm finding this difficult with these new vulnerable families with no English. I can understand that, and school interpreters can be costly. I would actually see if there is a parent. It's a great way of getting a parent involved, to see if one of those parents actually speaks English and their native language, and see if they will act as a interpreter. It's a great way of getting parents involved, or look at a neighbouring school to see if they have someone. It's a great way of getting parents involved, and it will also make those parents feel more comfortable that it is a parent around that. There's also some great sites around where we've used a couple of them, where you can put your information in and that will translate it for you to put out. How can schools in Wales build relationships with parents who don't want to engage? I think you will always get those parents who really, no matter how much you try, they won't want to engage, and I wouldn't beat yourself up around that. There's a number of different reasons why that might be, and you might never understand why that is. However, the key driver 5 is actually about actively going out into the community. So some of those, some parents won't engage because of religion, faith, beliefs, the areas that they live in, whether they're more deprived areas, it's just not the thing to do. So find someone in those areas that is respected and can encourage the parents to be more involved. So it is about actively going out. It's about really understanding your school community and the wider community, and understanding who has the influence in those communities that you can build a relationship with, that can then begin to break down the barriers that are even bigger with those harder to reach parents. Any advice on forming a PTA if you have quite strong opinionated parents with their own agenda that may come into conflict with priorities and values of the school? My biggest advice would be to see if they're in our membership, PTA membership. We have a group of PTA membership advisors that are on the phone. They offer this kind of advice on conflict resolution, and they don't just talk to the PTA, they will also talk to the school on how to manage that as well. And they even do Zoom calls in order to break down those priorities and look at how that's best working, and how the school and the parents from the PTA can work better together. I think it's really important for fundraising in particular, that generally within fundraising, that you're working towards a goal, and and it's not just a financial goal, but what are you trying to achieve to benefit the school? And PTAs will only know what the school needs if they talk to the school. And it's not about the school directing the PTA, it's about coming to that collaboration together about where the PTA can best benefit the school and where the school best needs those funds to go. It's not easy, but being in our membership and our PTA membership advisors make it so much easier. I would also say that one of the things to also mention is that we do a National PTA Week every year. It's in June, the end of June, National PTA Week, where we have an awards as well, and we celebrate our PTAs, and they can put a nomination in. If you go onto our website, you will see a huge amount of case studies, award nominations around what successful PTAs are doing. They are all around raising money, but they do it so differently and so individually, and really work to the strengths of their school communities. So if you're looking to influence a PTA, or you are a PTA and you're looking for more ideas, the National PTA Week Awards that we run is a great way of looking at how you can all of the ideas, but also for a school, if you really want your parents to be super engaged, nominating them in the next set of awards would be hugely beneficial. So I think that is there are no further questions. I've just got a no further questions coming through. I do hope that was helpful. And I thank you again for your time today. As I said, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Please feel free to contact us at Parentkind. We'll be happy to work with you in any way at all